minutes, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Hello, people of YouTube. We are back with another live stream. I'm Lainey Law, and over here we have attorney Andrew Myers. Andrew, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Lainey? Good to see you.
I am doing well, and we have another wonderful podcast. We're going to be talking more about what's going on next with the Karen Read case. So what do you have in store for us today, Andrew?
Well, I was thinking of renaming our podcast. We call it About the Law. I was thinking of renaming it Karen Read. Now what? Because, you know, her second trial ended back in June 18th of this year, in the beginning of the summer, so the rest of us could, enjoy the rest of the summer, walk away from it, let her have a peaceful life. Some people did some interviews with her attorneys, David Yannetti and Alan Jackson, we thought it was over at some point. There would be some things to talk about here and there. But, oh my God, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts wants to maybe prosecute her again. And everybody I've said that to says, no, they can't do that. They've filed the initial shot over the bow. They've dumped the tea into the Boston Harbor. They've, given a heads up. And if you don't believe me, we are going to... Yeah, I heard the static. I think it's gone, though. Laurie Baloo says we have static. I think we got rid of it, though, whatever it was.
Okay, I'll keep an ear out for that.
I don't know what it was. But anyhow, so yeah, they've actually... gotten Robert Cosgrove, the special prosecutor in the Aiden Turtleboy Carney case, over onto this whole new thing, and it's astonishing when you read the motion that we are going to take a look at. Also in this edition, Kelly Dever has finally actually resigned. There had been reports that she had resigned. That was retracted. And so now it is certain that Kelly Dever, the interesting, I'll say the least, witness in the Karen Read trial who had false memories, whatever that is, turned in her badge and her gun, and she's gone. And if we have time, we can get to some developments in the Brian Walshe case. The reason that there are connections between Brian Walshe and Karen Read is because the same police... Massachusetts State Police troopers that investigated Karen Read were all largely also involved in the Brian Walshe case, and there have been some developments from the appeals court in that case. And it's just, it's also a case that's in the Norfolk County Superior Court in Dedham. So there we go. There we go. Should we get started or say hello to some of our guests? I see that Charlie is here. And who did I want to say hi to? Brett.
I do want to apologize. I think the static might be on my end. I'm trying to figure out how to fix it, but I'm not quite sure.
Uh-oh. YouTube is not perfect. Charlie says my volume is low. Really? My volume is low? How is it now? How is it now? Because I'm peeking out on the soundboard. I'm all the way up at the top on the soundboard. How's that? Am I better now? Okay, Peg Leg says I'm fine. So, all right. So, I was talking to some people today, and I told them that tonight's episode was volume between hosts is not even. Oh, my goodness. That's one of my things with StreamYard. I can monitor my volume and you can monitor your volume, but somehow StreamYard does not allow us to look at both at the same time. So I don't know.
You can get started.
Oh, I can't even hear you now. I can't even hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to raise my volume. It's just that when I raise my volume, the static is really loud, I'm noticing. Oh. So I was going to pop out for a second and see if I can adjust that real quick, just to make sure, because it's really loud. It sounds like.
Peg of Leg is Aaron. Hi, Aaron. How are you? Good to see you in here. You changed your name. Okay, so while Lainey is hopefully, StreamYard is not perfect. And I've heard other people, it's not us, I've heard other people talking about how StreamYard has been giving them problems also. So, you know what? It's not a perfect technology. You would think something, if we can send computers to Mars and they're still working 13 years later, which they are, you would think that we could do this without a whole lot of problems. But Aaron says there's a story behind her changing her name. Well, tell us. Charlie says she can hear Lainey. Well, she can't hear her now. So anyhow, let me get into this motion. Should I wait for Lainey to come back, or I actually had a question. Last week we had a question, and the question was: if you're in New York or any city, and you call a cab, and the cab comes, and it turns out to be one of those driverless cabs, do you get in it? I don't. Lainey does. She's all for it. And our guest last week was Alexis Room, and she said she wouldn't get in it. So this week, I thought my question would be, people watch the 6 o'clock news, people don't watch the 6 o'clock news. People watch TV news, people don't watch TV news. TV has always favored having a weather person, and I'll go right out on a limb and say, yeah, they favor attractive young women as their weather person. But let's talk about substance. Now that we have cell phones and we have the ability to get our weather on the phone immediately, do you watch TV for the weather anymore? I mean, in the old days, you had to be on at 6 or you had to be on at 11. Some places had you listen to the weather at 5 or 10. She's back. I can't even hear you. Your volume is like really low.
Is this better now?
And now it's staticky. Wow. Yeah. Huh. There's something isn't grounded or something. I don't know. Is everything grounded, or how you already tried going off and on again. I don't know what to tell you. All I know is that we were, how last week's question was, if you're in New York or some other city and you call a cab and the cab shows up driverless, would you get on it? And I said no. You said yes. Alexis Room said no. So over the week, we've gotten some comments about that. I'd say they were tipped a little bit in my favor, but not a lot. So I thought, here's this week's question. In the old days, you could only get the weather out of the newspaper or TV. And for TV, you had to be there at 6 or 11. Then some stations said, we'll be first. We'll give you the news at 5 or 10. Does anybody get their weather off TV anymore? Does anybody even care about the weather on TV? Or since we have it on our cell phones now, do you just, I could, right now as I'm talking, I can go into my weather app and tell you that, okay, right now where I'm sitting, it's 70 degrees, nice warm spring day. Tomorrow, it's going to be partly cloudy, 72 degrees where I am. Then Thursday where I am, rain, 50% chance. So are you like me? Do you just go on your phone and get the weather? Or do you watch the weather? I mean, what TV stations pay top dollar? Believe me, TV stations pay top dollar. And Lainey, I said it while you were away, and I'll say it again. And they favor pretty young women. I'm not being the sexist to say that. I'm just telling you as a fact, TV stations pay an awful lot of money to have pretty young women on their meteorological staff. And I'm not saying they're not talented, because they're talented. A lot of them have degrees in meteorology, and they're very good meteorologists, but that's what TV stations do. So we're going to get into the Karen Reed thing now, but before we do, I'm going to pick up the water bottle I just spilled on the floor.
Yeah, and I'm just going to talk a little bit just so I can hear. If I changed my microphone.
Okay. Sorry about that. So do you watch the weather on TV? Do you rely on the weather on TV, or do you just look on your phone? All right. So
I want to apologize right now because I feel like my audio is so cursed. I tried changing the microphone input. I'm not really quite sure where the static is coming from, so I want to apologize for that.
Crazy. All right. Yeah. So let's dig into this motion. Here it is. Here's the mystery motion in which the Commonwealth of Massachusetts announces they're looking into the possibility of possibly prosecuting Karen Read some more. They haven't, destroyed her life enough, but this is the Commonwealth's motion for examination of digital material seized from Karen Read pursuant to a search warrant issued on January 22nd, 2024. Wait a minute, that's a year and 9 months ago, but I assure you that this is something new. I mean, here's the date on the motion. The motion, it kind of sat for a while until everybody really found it, because it's not in the regular docket. The date of this motion is August 28th of 2025. So why the hell is the Commonwealth now looking to dig more into Karen Read's phone that they got, and they're holding? They gave her the Lexus has been released, but not the phones. Here's why. On January 22nd, the Commonwealth sought in this court a search warrant for any mobile device capable of communicating and cell phones used by Karen Read. The search warrant application was supported by an affidavit from Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully. After review, the requested warrant was issued by Krupp, judge. Pursuant to the warrant, the devices could be seized and any data copied, provided no search of that data will be done absent further warrant or order of the court. Yeah, right. What this is saying is they had the right to grab, with the warrant, the phones that Karen Read had. There were 2 of them, but they wouldn't go in there unless the court gave them an additional order. The restriction on copying was consistent with the affiant's representation, the affiant being Mr. Tully, that no search would commence until such time a taint team or special master protocol is agreed upon by prosecuting attorneys for the Commonwealth and Defense Counsel. The search was executed on January 24th, 2024. That's a year and 9 months ago. At 14:45 hours, that's 2:45, by Lieutenant John Fanning, who filed a return of service indicating seizure of 2 Apple iPhones, one purple with a green case, one white with a clear case. The Commonwealth incorporates the warrant supporting the affidavit and returned by reference. The supporting affidavit, paragraph 83, asserted that the facts set forth therein would provide probable cause to believe that Karen Read committed a violation of Massachusetts general laws for witness interference. Paragraph 84 asserts that the facts further establish probable cause to believe Read also violated Mass general laws for conspiracy to commit intimidation of a witness. Again, as we all know, Karen Read was acquitted of all major charges on June 18th. But as I've said in the past from talking to a few insiders, the Commonwealth is furious about that. They are convinced that Karen Read is guilty. They're mad as a hornet's nest. So now, what are we, 2 months after that? Almost 3 months after the acquittal. Now they're bringing these charges alleging that there was witness interference, possibly, and conspiracy to commit intimidation of a witness. Following the seizure of 2 cell phones pursuant to the warrant, Special Prosecutor Kenneth Mello, having been contacted by Elizabeth Little, conferred with counsel representing Karen Read in the then pending criminal case, concluded Ms. Read is represented by attorney Stephen C. Bouzang with respect to the seized cell phones. And we talked about him in a previous episode. Well-known Boston area criminal defense attorney Stephen Bouzang. The purpose of this motion and memorandum is to set forth a proposed taint team protocol. In paragraph 102 of the supporting affidavit, Lieutenant Tully averred that once a protocol is agreed upon, I will apply for a subsequent search warrant to particularize the search. The Commonwealth will follow this procedure upon this court's approval of a protocol. Now, when I first saw this, is this kind of crazy to you, Lainey?
Well, it's kind of crazy to me. I don't want to like kind of get ahead, but I'm wondering what they're saying, like exactly what she did, if they're going to include any more details of that. That's a
Well,
big claim.
it is a big claim. And when I first saw this, I said, this isn't real. This is made up because the docket number is an SW identification, and the letters in the dockets are usually CR for criminal, CV for civil. And I looked up on the court's website, and the court's website itself that defines, how to read docket numbers doesn't even have SW. So I didn't believe it. So I went to some of the better reporters in the Boston area, and David Bienick on Channel 5 kind of told us what's going on. And I want to take a look at his report that came out, I believe, on Thursday, January 11th.
It looks as if prosecutors might be trying to charge Karen Reed again. Reed has already been found not guilty of murder and manslaughter for the death of John O'Keefe, but new court filings show she is still being investigated for possible witness intimidation.
So I'm saying to myself, Channel 5 is a very reputable station. I actually know a couple of people that work over there. Extremely reputable station. They're not into the whole, one of the Boston TV stations actually had plastered on their wall, if it bleeds, it leads. Now, Channel 5 is a pretty solid organization. And here they are reporting on the fact that the Commonwealth does, in fact, want to look into the possibility of bringing additional charges against Karen Reed.
David Bienick has been covering this case from the beginning. He's live once again outside the courthouse in Dedham this afternoon. David, good afternoon.
Hey, Ben, good afternoon. Yes, this new motion comes from a special prosecutor who apparently is trying to get access to data on two of Karen Reed's cell phones. Now, these are phones that were seized by state police 2 years ago, nearly 2 years ago. They were investigating Reed at the time for possible witness intimidation in connection to her murder case and the blogger known as Turtle Boy. Well, apparently, the police have not been able to get access to the data on those phones because in a motion filed late last month, Special Prosecutor Robert Cosgrove asked a judge to order Reed to turn over her passwords for the phone and to assign an independent team to sort through her emails and text messages.
To me, it seems like a fishing expedition that shouldn't be taking place. She should have her phones back.
This is the new attorney, Stephen Buzang, for Karen Reed, and we saw him first bringing motions to get her Lexus back and some other matters. A good defense attorney in the Boston area, and he's saying, "What the?" Well, those are my words. He put it more articulately than I did.
And it should just be ended. Everybody needs to move on.
Now, a grand jury has already declined to indict Reed on witness intimidation charges, a previous grand jury, but nothing prevents the prosecutors from trying again with a new grand jury. Reed's lawyer says he does expect the judge to hold a hearing on this question before deciding whether or not to order Reed to give up her cell phone data. In Dedham, David Bienick, WCVB News Center 5.
He's been covering this case from the beginning. He's live once again outside the courthouse in Dedham.
Sorry, I'm trying to help and I'm making it worse.
Now, you know how good I am at this. So, Thomas T. says, where the heck is the governor? Well, she's right in there in the State House. That's where she is, not having anything to do with this case. And we had another commenter while that was playing that asked us or told us, and I can't find it, but one of our commenters said, here it is. The entire search warrant is about Turtle Boy. Well, yes and no. I had a friend who used to always say that to me, yes and no. And it infuriated me, probably like it infuriates you right now for me to put it that way. But here is the motion itself, and I'll come back to where we were. No, the supporting affidavit asserted that the facts set forth therein provided probable cause to believe that Karen Reed committed a violation of Massachusetts general laws on witness interference and conspiracy to commit an intimidation of a witness. So, yeah, you're right in a sense. It's about Aiden Turtleboy Carney, but yes, they're looking for charges against Karen Reed. That's great. And they dox her in the motion, putting out her date of birth, and I apologize that, we went through that where did I leave off? I can't even remember where I left off. I think it was down here
It was
somewhere.
around this page, yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to read all the little, the technicalities of executing a warrant. In a Norfolk Superior Court case, Commonwealth versus Richard Comenzo, the Commonwealth had seized an attorney's computer pursuant to a warrant to search for something we can't say on YouTube, and the attorney claimed that his computer might contain privileged communications with clients, although the case presented a different factual and procedural scenario than in another case. The Superior Court initially fashioned a taint team procedure closely following the preventative medicine model. In discharging his obligation to provide the taint examiner with search terms that would capture information subject to the attorney-client privilege, the defendant proposed that the search terms for potentially privileged files be limited to any files containing letters A through Z, numbers 0. Are they serious? So,
What
Lainey,
is the alternate? I was gonna say, what are the alternates? Like,
I want to look into everything in your computer. I want to see everything that contains letters A through Z or numbers 0 through 9.
I'm gonna start labeling everything as like dashes and periods. Like,
So, I mean, all right. So that investigated ground to a halt, the problem eventually coming to light in a hearing before another Superior Court judge who subsequently modified the preventative medicine protocol. The defendant filed a petition for relief pursuant to state law, in which a single justice of the Supreme Judicial Court denied. The defendant appealed to the full bench of the SJC and moved to stay the Superior Court order pending appeal. The SJC, which is our highest court in Massachusetts, denied the motion, and the search proceeded. Finding the sought evidence of what we can't say here on YouTube, the defendant did not claim that any of the files found were protected by attorney-client privilege, and accordingly, the court denied his appeal in full. So, you ask, what is a taint team? With these considerations in mind, the Commonwealth proposes the following taint team forensic search procedure for the search of communications and data located on the cell phones seized pursuant to the above entitled search warrant. The taint team will consist of a special master and an appointed forensic examiner, AFE, who has not been and may not be involved in any way in the investigation or prosecution of the defendant presently or in the future. Stephen Veranio of MWV, Multimedia Forensic Investigative Services, shall be appointed forensic examiner. Retired District Court Judge Joseph Macy shall be special master. The AFE and special master shall indicate their agreement to the conditions set forth by endorsing a copy of this court's order and filing it with the Criminal Clerk's Office, Norfolk Superior Court, within 14 days of the date of this court's order appointing them. These individuals were specifically chosen because they have the expertise to search for and identify privileged communications. 2, they will be able to conduct this work physically and functionally separate from the Norfolk District Attorney's staff. So they're cutting through all the verbiage here, we'll say. What they're saying is a lot of the stuff that is on Karen Reed's phone may be privileged. It may be between her lawyer and her. There may be other very personal stuff that, you know, even the prosecutors that want to persecute her further would not want to dox or reveal. So this taint team, rather than going through the whole phone and tainting the evidence such that it could be thrown out, they're proposing this team of the 2 people we just mentioned, and they would go through the phone themselves and pull out the objectionable stuff and just point out the material that is relevant to the 2 charges, whether you agree or not. That's what they're talking about.
I don't even know. I mean, I guess it's like supposed to not take out the privileged stuff, but they're going to be seeing privileged stuff regardless going through it.
Yeah. Well, that's why they're having these 2 allegedly, supposedly, theoretically individuals, you know, not connected with the case itself, to go through it and remove all this stuff. Now, that's the suggestion. I can only imagine that Karen Reed's defense attorneys have not had a chance to object, but I imagine that they will object based partially on that. Based partially on, hey guys, you've had these phones since January of 2024. Why did you wait until this time? Are you just so furious, like a bunch of hornets in a nest being sprayed by a hose? Are you just so angry that you couldn't convict Karen Reed in 2 trials that lasted approximately 3 months? Are you just so besides yourself that you couldn't convict her that now you're going to bring this up? And it is about Karen Reed. Yes, it's about Mr. Carney, but it is about her. So before we go further, why don't we see if Yolie's available? Attorney Yolie said that she wanted to join us, and so
Yeah, I'm curious to see what she has to say about this. I'm shocked that this is even coming up right now. It seems, it just like you said, they just want to hit her for something. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, and they already, crazily enough, they already in early 2024 went to the grand jury and attempted to indict Karen Reed on charges of colluding with Aiden Turtleboy Carney, and the grand jury refused to return an indictment. So they've already tried this once, and they didn't return the indictment. So there's Amy. Hi, Amy.
Thank you,
thanks
Amy,
for
for
joining
coming
us.
in.
Can I tell them, Amy, that you're behind the scenes here? You really help us with our TikTok. I don't know anything about TikTok, but Amy's responsible for giving us. Should I admit my ignorance in that?
Well, you got a lot of people supporting. It's good to acknowledge that. People need to know that this is not easy to do.
So, Amy, if you haven't seen us on TikTok, go to TikTok. Amy's responsible. She does, all the stuff, and she also cuts up our shorts. She'll take our long-winded episodes and cut them down to the under 3-minute pieces that you see in our shorts. And ironically, and she knows that I laughed about this one, not at her, but I just laughed. I spent, I don't know how many hours a couple of weeks ago doing a short. I spent hours. It was a rainy Sunday afternoon. I didn't feel like doing anything else, so I sat there for hours and I did my own short. Posted it. Yeah, it was like but at one point she posted a 22-second short and we got 5,000 views. Which for us is huge. I know for other people, but for us. So anyhow, thank you, Amy. And here we go with this crazy motion. Where was I? Oh, it was number 2. The cost of the taint team will be borne by the Commonwealth. Sure, they don't care. Just bill the taxpayers. And my experience in Massachusetts is the taxpayers really don't care. They just don't care. There's a blank check. The ones that care move to New Hampshire. Within 14 days of the date of this court's order, counsel for Ms. Reed shall provide to the court search terms to facilitate the taint team's identification of attorney-client privilege information. I wonder if the search terms will be A through Z and 1 through 10.
Oh, my goodness.
The search terms shall consist of telephone numbers and email addresses of the defendant's attorney or attorneys believed to be used in attorney-client communications and the names of those attorneys. The defendant may supply additional search terms if necessary. If the defendant offers additional search terms, he shall file an affidavit affirming that the supplied terms are those reasonably necessary to identify and protect information protected by the attorney-client privilege. It appears to the Commonwealth that the telephone numbers and email addresses are not confidential, but in the event it appears to the Commonwealth that telephone numbers and email addresses are not confidential.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I guess they're saying, well, look, you can look up the attorneys, and I'm not going to name them in the phone book, or God, that's how old I am. You can look them up in the phone book, or you can look them up online. Sure, you could type in the attorney's name, and you're probably going to get phone numbers and things like that. But in the event the defendant harbors a good faith belief that disclosure of any search terms would compromise attorney-client confidentiality, he may submit such terms to the court under protective order without disclosing them to the Commonwealth, including there with a statement of good cause for, well, attorney-client privilege is an absolute privilege. So there's a lot of verbiage in here. Also, within 14 days of the date of this court's order, counsel for Ms. Reed shall provide to the court any passwords or other information necessary to it. So here's the heart of this motion. They want the passwords to Karen Reed's phones, because they got these phones back in January of 2024, and what they're claiming is that they can't get into them without the passwords. Now, Lainey, we were having an argument in my office about this afternoon, and you might know the answer to this, although I'm not going to put you on the spot. Back in the day when iPhones were new, the people at Apple said, we've got your back. We're not going to let anybody get into your phone. We're not going to give out passwords or other directions on how to get into your iPhones. Even with a warrant, we'll take the court's warrants and put them in the shredder. Court. Now, we had an argument in my office, and we didn't resolve the argument. Now, has that changed? Can people, quote unquote, go in the back door of a iPhone, or do you in fact need the password to get into an iPhone? Do you know?
I'm not entirely sure, because I know there were court cases related to that. I know there was like a back and forth, so I don't actually know how that was resolved. But I don't know. I just imagine that with the technology out there, that there's the capability to clone it. But the fact that they're mentioning the password for the seized devices here makes me think that they're not able to just get into it without that information.
Yeah, I don't know the answer. I had thought, and I don't know, I'm not a tech, if there's someone out there that does know and doesn't just tell us, well, I think this. If there's someone out there that does know, let us know. But the Commonwealth is claiming that they've had Karen Reed's phones since January of 2024, and they still can't get into them without the password. So this paragraph we're looking at here is saying, Ms. Reed, turn over your passwords to those two phones, the purple one and the white one, right now. And if you claim a Fifth Amendment privilege to not disclose the information, the Commonwealth may file a motion to compel, well, she's not a him, she's a her, to provide the information sought under the holding of Commonwealth versus Gelflat. My understanding what that means is that the Fifth Amendment covers certain things, but it doesn't cover other stuff. I think
it also looks like Yolie just entered in, so I'm going to pop Yolie in real quick.
Okay.
Yolie, nice to see you.
Nice
Hello.
to see you. How are you?
Good. How have you been?
I've been fine. How are you?
Oh, good. Very busy. Very busy. Uh-oh.
What did I just do?
Hot. It's hot over here. It's like in the 90s.
Oh my goodness. No, thankfully it's just starting to cool down in New England, so we're finally getting some fall weather coming back.
Yeah, I was just checking my phone, Yolie, and you're welcome to come visit, because I was just checking my weather, and it's 70 degrees where I am right now.
It is like super hot right now.
Wow. Well, come visit. Our question, we're going to get into this, we're going to go back into this, but our question in the beginning was, in the old days, people got all their weather from TV and newspapers, but now we can, in a flash, in less than 10 seconds, I can pull up my weather. Does anybody still get their weather from the TV stations? The TV stations spend an awful lot of money on their weather teams. There's one TV station I'm not going to dox, and they now have this promo of this new storm van, and it's all painted in bright, shiny colors, and they all I think there's 6 or 7 of them. And we're ready for anything.
I just look on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I can't even remember the last time I watched the actual news.
Yeah. So, I'm wondering, I'm the oldest person here, and even I go with my phone. Even I if I want to know what the weather is. And then I looked and I saw tomorrow's going to be a nice day. But then Thursday it's going to rain, but it's going to be sunny for the weekend. It's going to be in the upper 60s and 70s. So, but I digress. But so I'm asking our people in the chat and also in the comment section later, is it worth for the TV stations to spend all that money on the weather teams? Why do they spend so much money? What's the point? I don't know. So,
I don't know.
Let's jump back into this motion. I've really lost it here. Thank you, Lainey. So we'll back up a little bit. This is part of it, but Yolie, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is bringing a motion to dig into Karen Read's phones, which they claim that they've had since January of 2024, but they haven't been able to get into them, and they now want to compel her to provide the passwords to get into her phone. And a supporting affidavit that's filed with this motion asserts that the facts set forth therein provide probable cause to believe that Karen Read committed a violation of the Massachusetts general laws with respect to witness interference and conspiracy to commit intimidation of a witness. So the bottom line here is that the Commonwealth is angry as hell that they lost both times they tried to convict her in front of a jury in Norfolk County. So now they're attempting to possibly prosecute her again on witness intimidation.
They need to leave her alone.
They didn't learn their lesson.
Yeah, they just, I mean, this woman has been through so much that I never saw the first case ever. I never could get it. I didn't think they proved their case on the first trial, not on the second trial. And now they're trying to get into her phones to get her on witness intimidation. I mean,
she's a very intimidating woman. So menacing, I feel like she's under 5'5", very scary.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to remain objective through this whole thing. I'm not a member of the club. I didn't go to the Wilbur. I understand it was a good time, and I'm told I should have gone. I would have had a good time, and I probably regret that I didn't go to the Wilbur. But I try to maintain objectivity. I hope that's what I have to add to this whole thing. But this is over the top, Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This is, and I know people on the inside watch because I've heard from them. This is ridiculous.
That's an interesting name, Buzang, Stephen C.
That's her new
Buzang.
attorney. Yeah, Stephen. He's a well-known Boston area defense attorney. I'm not going to make fun of him because he's a very good attorney. And actually, since Yolie just joined us to bring her and everybody else, if some people have just tuned into this, why don't we? I always do that. I don't know how to do a three thumbs. I have two TV reports on this that'll summarize it all. And so I want to show another TV story. This was Boston 25, great TV station. I actually know a reporter over there. I don't know Ted Daniel, but he's an excellent reporter. And he reported on this motion. Yolie, this will bring you totally up to date on this, and also the fact that Karen does finally have her car back. So without any further ado, here is Boston 25 and Ted Daniel.
I'm investigative reporter Ted Daniel. Karen Read's Lexus has been returned, but she's still trying to get 2 of her cell phones back. And we now know why. Court documents reveal the phones are being held in an open investigation. That investigation is being run by a special prosecutor hired by the Norfolk County District Attorney, Michael Morrissey. State police took the phones in January 2024 while attempting to indict Read and Aiden Carney, a.k.a. Turtle Boy, on charges related to witness intimidation.
And so, they tried to do this before. They took the case to a grand jury. They took the case to a grand jury in March of 2024, and they, brought all the information that they had, then trying to pin conspiracy charges on the both of them, and they failed. And nobody even found out about that until, after the first trial. So they did it behind everybody's back. That's the nature of grand jury proceedings. But, so now they're trying again.
This would have brought new witness intimidation charges for Read and additional charges for Carney. As 25 Investigates reported, the attempt failed. A grand jury blocked new indictments. It would appear Special Prosecutor Robert Cosgrove is not done. According to a court filing, Cosgrove has asked a judge to order Reid to provide any passwords or other information necessary to access the seized devices. And he wants Reid to identify any communication that is protected by attorney-client privilege.
I want to pause here real quick because people were mentioning this earlier. Wouldn't they have had the passwords because of the whole Proctor situation, or is the implication that maybe she has a different password, or these are different phones?
I don't know.
Well, that's a good question, but I don't think they can, even if they did have the password from a prior trial or whatever, I don't know that they can go into it with this one without having a warrant.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because it's 2 levels, I guess 3 levels. 1, to get the phones. All right, now they have the phones. 2, to get the passwords or whatever it is that they need to get into the phones. And then 3, they're talking about a taint team that before the Commonwealth or the defense get the actual information that's on the phone, this taint team screens through everything that is downloaded from the phone. Everything that's extracted from the phone is then reviewed by this independent taint team, and they name 2 people who allegedly have nothing to do with either the Commonwealth or the defense. If you believe that, come to my office tomorrow. I'll sell you a bridge, the deed to a bridge. But anyhow, so this taint team would screen everything out that is improper. Any personal stuff that Karen had on her phone, which is her life, and they shouldn't be digging into that stuff, or more importantly, attorney-client privileged information. So separate all that stuff out and then get to this alleged stuff with Turtle Boy, where they're alleging that she intimidated witnesses and conspired. So,
But they're alleging that she conspired with Turtle Boy, but if they got Turtle Boy's phone, wouldn't that show messages from Karen Reid or exchanges? I mean, why did they need her phone?
Who knows? Good question. I guess the allegation would be that maybe Carney, maybe he wiped some of the stuff. Maybe he wiped it. I don't know. That's just a theory. That's a theoretical answer to your question. So comment down below what a horrible person I am. You always do. It adds to our engagement and our standing with the algorithm. So have at it. Let's finish this report and then we'll get back to the motion.
Karen Reid is fighting all of this. I spoke with one of her attorneys, Steve Buzang.
So it's your understanding, based on them withholding the phones, that they're still investigating Karen Reid?
I was told it's an ongoing investigation. I think that's clear from their filings. I think that there is no ongoing investigation. The investigation was done. That there is no evidence that she committed a crime. So there is no new evidence.
I also reached out to the Norfolk DA's office. The spokesperson told me special prosecutors operate independently and the office can't speak for them. Reid did get her Lexus back. It was returned Monday. JB Auto Care in Weymouth agreed to fix it up for her. You can see a new taillight is being installed.
Look at that. They're putting a new taillight on her car there on the passenger side of the vehicle.
Oh, my God.
I wonder if Mr. Proctor was there to turn it around and pretend like they were putting it on the other side. I'm sorry.
Even just the phone coming back in that state is crazy. It's that phone. They're like, she got her car back, and it's like the shell of a car.
We try to lighten it up a little bit in these lives. So if you're looking for a boring lawyer to just sit there on his desk and read the motion, sorry, this ain't that channel. This ain't it.
She'll ever drive it again. Attorney Buzang expects there will be a court hearing where Reid will formally ask for the return of her phones. For 25 Investigates, I'm Ted Daniel.
Okay, so Yolie, I don't know if you know the answer to this. I asked before, and I don't know the answer to this question. What am I always doing wrong, Lainey, that I cut her out?
We go to the wrong screen. So you go to one on the left. It's the one towards the right.
Okay. Sorry, Yolie.
It's okay.
Again, like I always say, we try to lighten things up in these lives. And so what I was going to say is, Yolie, in this motion, they're asking to compel Karen Reid to give them her passwords. I know that when iPhones first came out, those many years ago, Apple said they would back people up and they would not give out passwords, and you can't get into their phones without passwords. I don't know. I got into a friendly argument with somebody in my office today as to whether or not, Apple has kind of backed away from that, A, and B, whether it's possible to extract stuff from an Apple iPhone without the password. So I don't know the answer to that. I asked if there's anybody in our audience here that has the answer to that. Let us know.
I don't know the answer to that. They're wanting information that was from way back when, so I don't know if she still has the same password. I have no idea.
No, I don't either. And it's an interesting question. I know that, and I'm sure she wouldn't do this because it's spoliation of evidence. But if you lose your phone, you can go to the Apple store and they can wipe the old phone. They can invalidate. They can just wipe it.
If I was Karen Reed, I'd probably move to another country.
For real.
They couldn't just leave me alone.
But
if she moved out of state, would they still be able to be messing around with her with this stuff?
A little bit more difficult, but they still could.
She's born and raised in Massachusetts. I'm sorry, I cut you off. I apologize.
Okay.
And people call me out for that all the time.
It's okay.
So, she's born and raised in Massachusetts. Her contacts, her friends, 2 former great jobs are here. She has a brother, Nathan, who I understand she's very close to. She's very close to her parents, who are in their late 70s. I've talked to both of them. They're very nice people. They're very, very, very nice people. And she's said she's very lucky to have them. So why should she let these pinheads from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts pin her down and make her move? I mean, I don't know. So
that's true. That's true. But I mean, just for peace of mind, I mean, it's just, it's just this is going to be in her life almost like forever.
I agree. So we were down here somewhere. They were talking about a taint team. And I think we're down about here, pointing at, this is where you came in, Yolie. They want to compel her to give over her passwords. And no, it's really not. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's really not a Fifth Amendment issue because the Fifth Amendment protects us from testimonial issues. In other words, if you say you have no requirement to testify against yourself or to give up things that you've said or written, but non-testimonial things include fingerprints, DNA. They can take a cutting of your hair, a swab of your mouth. The Fifth Amendment doesn't protect you against that. And apparently there's a 2014 case in Massachusetts that says that passwords on your phone are not protected by the Fifth Amendment. So that's something to learn from this case. After review of the search terms, the court shall transmit those that it approves. Oh, I already read that paragraph. The AFE shall search the phones for privileged communications using search terms provided by the defendant and share the results with the special master. The special master shall review any material identified as potentially privileged and determine whether it falls within the attorney-client privilege or whether it is imprivileged. Is that a word? Unprivileged.
Unprivileged.
I read it wrong.
It should be whether it's not privileged, not unprivileged.
Yeah, I agree. So all this stuff is going to be peeled off, or would be peeled off, by this taint team. And before any information is disclosed to the Commonwealth, Ms. Reed shall have 14 days from receipt of the potentially privileged list to file with the court any objections to the taint team's determination. So this is going to be a long, drawn-out process.
Yeah, and I don't understand how they can compel her if she's not a party to this case.
I guess they're going to make her a party.
I don't understand. Wouldn't they need a search warrant if they wanted to go in there?
I think that there is an application for a warrant in here.
There is? Okay.
I believe so, yeah. Final determination of issues of privilege shall be resolved by the court. If any objections are timely filed after the court considers and rules on defendant's objections, the AFE shall produce to the parties a list of all the data ruled as privileged by the... So this is going to be a long process where if this is approved, if this motion is approved, getting this taint team involved and then having the parties go back and forth with their objections, we're talking way after the holidays. We're talking Easter of next year that they're trying to drag Karen through the mud. If the Commonwealth, in examining the digital materials, discovers material or information not identified by the special master that it believes may nonetheless subject to attorney-client privilege, the special prosecutor shall notify Ms. Reed's attorney, and the Commonwealth agrees not to make derivative use of any such material subject to the attorney-client privilege. The determination of privilege will be made by the court.
It's like Proctor couldn't find the nude, so they're sending the taint team in to get it.
Lainey, I'm glad you said that, because that thought had crossed my mind. I was going to say it, but the commenters were all going to say you're a sexist attorney for saying that. So I'm glad you said it and not me.
It's like, it's just insane. This is insane.
It is. Yeah, it's like, is this like real or is this a movie? I mean, I just can't.
There might be something bad in your phone, so we're gonna send people who might be able to find it. Like, okay, good talk.
Because you have a relationship with, or you have or had or still do with Turtle Boy.
How dare you talk to someone?
It's obvious that, as I've said all along, they're furious. I've talked to some insiders who will remain nameless. It's obvious the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is absolutely beside itself, furious, outraged. They're like a bunch of hornets that somebody sprayed a hose into, that they were unable to convict Karen Reed in 2 trials and $1.5 million worth of stuff, largely to the Blue Man Group Aperture people and Hank Brennan. So they're furious. They're absolutely furious. So they're staying up night, tearing their hair out, saying, what can we do to get her? What can we do to get her? And this is going to be a long, drawn-out process. This is going to be a really long and drawn-out process. So, I don't know. Do we even want to read the rest of this? Do we even want to? There's some junk in here that...
It's kind of annoying me that they're still continuing. Oh, it's almost done. We're done. Yeah.
Oh, you think we're done? Look at the top. We're on page 9 of 44, but no, we're not going to read them all. No, we're not.
But it says conclusion. Okay.
Yeah, it does say conclusion, but then there's an appendix of which we're not going to read it. I mean, it's good reading. If anybody wants it and they can't find it, let me know and I'll send it to you. Wherefore, the Commonwealth moves that this court approve the protocol outlined above so that the Commonwealth may examine the media seized pursuant to the search warrants issued by this court. Okay. Respectfully submitted, Robert Cosgrove. And I don't think he's up to protocol because the Superior Court rules specifically state that you need to include, well, he's got his BBO number, but you've also got to include your contact, your telephone number, your fax number, and your email. And he didn't do that in the signature. Now, that's a little thing. That's a little thing. But is it really a little thing? I mean, follow the rules.
Well, it's ironic because it's like they consider the emails and phone numbers of the other attorneys not confidential, but this guy's not putting his on there.
Yeah. So this is the old. Somebody just said there's a search warrant. Well, this is the old search warrant in order to get her phone back in January 22nd of 20. This shows you how desperate the Commonwealth is. This shows you just the ends to which they'll go to just make her life miserable. This search warrant to get her phone is dated January 22nd of 2024. Give me a break. And they, this is the return. You have the Apple.
Okay. With green case.
Yeah.
Okay, the case it shouldn't be identified by the case. I'm sorry. No. It should be because you can change a case.
No, because long story short, I had an issue with my phone, and I just got a new case last week, and it was easy. Even I could take off the old one and put on the new one. So
somebody should tell them they need to identify the Apple iPhone by the number or the type or whatever, but not the case. Didn't
specify what generation it was. That was bizarre.
Generation? Like, what is it? Is it an iPhone 10, 11, 13?
Exactly.
Yeah, not the case. The case, what is it? A Kate Spade case, or is it? I mean, come on.
Anyone can go to the mall and get a new case.
Exactly. So you get a new case on your phone, and this isn't the one with the green case, so you can't have it.
Yeah, I actually got a new case because my case got messed up, long story short, and I went to Walmart. They didn't have it, so I had to go to Amazon.com. But a day later, I had a new case. Didn't cost that much. And so, yeah, you're right. Yeah, they should identify it. And they all have numbers. So just two things on this, 34-page appendix I wanted to point out. This is Colin Albert. Colin stated to Sergeant Buchanan that the intimidation he has received from Carney has made him sad, scared, and paranoid. He fears physical harm from strangers. Colin attended Bridgewater State University, where he was a member of the football team. Colin was enrolled to return in the fall of 2023. Due to the past harassment and threat of future harassment, Colin chose to withdraw from the university football team.
No. It's like almost as if Karen Reed should be feeling sad, scared, and paranoid after all this. Interesting.
Do you believe that?
I don't. I don't.
I was just looking to see if I highlighted anything. No, we're not going to go through the whole thing. But I mean, football players, it's not easy to intimidate a football player.
Well, yeah. Why did they even put that in there? Because they want to say, oh, he's been harmed or somehow he's been. Well.
And there's a lot more. And we're not going to get into it because it's all just rubbish. It's just, in my opinion, it's a bunch of rubbish. But so we'll get rid of that. And the other thing, there's so much to go over, and we're not going to get to it all today. We'll save it for our next episode. But the thing that I promoted this episode on was Kelly Dever resigned. Oh, my goodness gracious.
I mean, she didn't really have a choice, did she?
It's kind of like she perjured herself, but was trying to make it seem like she was just remembering it differently.
Yeah, so here we go. Boston 5. Boston.com. Boston officer who testified about false memory in Karen Reed case resigns. Officer Kelly, don't call me Deve or Dever, had been on family medical leave since earlier in the summer. She looks really happy there, doesn't she? They're talking about being sad.
Yeah. And, I hope nobody was harassing her. I mean, that's not something that...
No, it's enough.
It's enough that she had to testify.
A Boston police officer who squared off with Karen Reed's lawyers over claims of a false memory has resigned. The department confirmed Officer Kelly Dever had been on family medical leave since earlier in the summer. Her resignation became effective September 1st, according to the Boston Police Department, released Friday. The personnel order shed no further light on the circumstances surrounding Dever's resignation. Oh, come on. I think we can all kind of read between the lines on that one, can't we?
Or we can speculate, which is our right to do. We can have an opinion.
This is YouTube. Dever, who took the stand during Reed's second murder trial, faced intense public scrutiny following a combative line of questioning from defense attorney Alan Jackson. She testified that she was working as a patrol officer in Canton when Reed's boyfriend, John O'Keefe, was found unresponsive on a snowy lawn there in January of 2022. While prosecutors accused Reed of drunkenly backing her SUV into O'Keefe's while dropping him off at a house party, her lawyers argued she was framed in a law enforcement cover-up. A jury acquitted Reed, so we know all of this background stuff. There she is. Pressed to say whether she'd seen anything unusual in the police station garage, the Sallyport, where Reed's SUV was housed, Dever grew testy. She confirmed she initially told federal investigators she had seen Brian Higgins, a witness in Reed's case, and then Chief Kenneth Berkowitz enter the garage together for a wildly long time, in her words. While Reed's SUV was there, though she said she was later reminded she'd left the station before the vehicle arrived. It was a distorted memory, therefore I can't state it, because at this point it would be a lie, Dever testified. I cannot make that statement that you're wanting me to make on the stand because I've advised that that would be a lie. She also alleged the defense threatened to accuse her of perjury if I didn't lie on the stand right now. Well, that's not exactly what they said, but okay. Jackson later penned a scathing letter to Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox calling for Dever to be put on the department's Brady list, which is used to track law enforcement officials whose credibility has come under fire. Her reports, statements, and testimony can no longer be presumed accurate in any case, current or prior, involving Officer Dever, must be reviewed accordingly, Jackson wrote. He alleged Dever's credibility and reliability had been irreparably compromised, suggesting her false memory claim meant she had either lied on the stand or she actually suffers from a condition that subjects her to false memories. Dever had also testified about speaking with Cox prior to taking the stand in Reed's case, though she was adamant that the conversation was not about anything malicious. She denied Cox told her anything meant to guide her testimony, adding, "He just wanted me to tell the truth up here." I think we've had enough of this, haven't we? You want me to keep reading, or have we had enough?
Well, let's just, I mean, you can keep going.
Okay, all right. I have nothing to do with, where did I stop? Okay. Cox likewise dismissed allegations, of course. Cox likewise dismissed allegations that he pressured Dever into changing her testimony. I have nothing to do with Karen Reed, Cox told reporters in July. He also claimed not to have known Dever was even associated with, oh, come on. Is there anybody in the audience that believes this?
No.
I have nothing to do with Karen Reed, Cox told reporters in July. He claimed not to have known Dever was even associated with Reed's case. Where's the sound effect that goes, eh? I was struck like, what do I have to do with the Karen Reed case, he said at the time. And so the fact is, it's much ado about nothing. We have employees here that we have to develop and encourage and do things, and I do that for tons of our employees. While O'Keefe also served as a Boston police officer, he died while Cox was leading the Ann Arbor Police Department in Michigan. Reed still faces a wrongful death lawsuit from O'Keefe's family and is due back in court for the civil case on September 22nd, which is coming up.
Yeah.
So Abby Patkin wrote that story. She's a good reporter. And no, I don't say that about all the reporters. If there's a rotten reporter, I'll say it. And I did, at the beginning of this episode, Yolie, I said that Channel 5 was a great station. I've also said that Ted Daniels is a great reporter. But I also said there's one Boston TV station, which everybody in the Boston area will know who I'm talking about, that actually has, if it bleeds, it leads on the wall. Or at one point had a sign on the wall in their newsroom. I don't know. Oof. How are we doing with our commenters still with us?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, chat has been pretty active. You don't see it on the side?
I do now. Yeah, I was looking at a different screen because I have to blow up the PDF so that I can read them. Because my new laptop is. I wish I'd gotten a laptop with a bigger screens.
So I wonder if Karen Reed, they do prosecute her for intimidation of witness intimidation. Who's going to be her attorney? I wonder if it's going to be the one she has now, or if she's going to use Alan Jackson, or what.
It seems that this Stephen Buzang, who's a very good criminal defense attorney in the greater Boston area, he might be the new one. I think Mr. Jackson, YouTube has actually been active with some of the other cases he's involved in right now, contemporaneously with this, and so he's winding up, I would imagine, for the civil case, getting ready for any civil trial in Superior Court is Magilla, and so he'll need to, spend his time on all of those matters. So who knows? Maybe Yannetti will come back in. I don't know. I really don't know.
It makes sense for it to be the same attorneys because they just have more background, right? It would be a whole new mess to involve other people, right?
It seems like, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Grammy says, don't they have to prove intimidation? They do. And that's what they're trying to do by getting into her phone. But
Yeah, that's why they have Colin Albert saying that he was sad, and I forget what were the other three adjectives. That was never good at grammar. Sorry, blast me all you want, English teachers. But there were
Scared.
three: sad, scared.
I had to drop out of football.
Come on.
Because they were intimidating me while I was practicing at football practice with all these big guys around me.
So yeah, one of the elements of intimidation is to show the effect that there was actual damage, actual harm. So that's what that was actually all about. But I don't know. I really don't know. You know, it's just I don't know. Now I was going to get into Brian Walshe, but I don't know if we have time. Maybe I'll save that for our next episode because there's a lot going on with the Brian Walshe case. I'll just summarize really quickly. Brian Walshe was stabbed in jail last week. It was not life-threatening, but he did have to go to Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston and get treatment. Remember, Yolie, you and I read, I think, at great length the motion or the decision on the motion to suppress evidence in the Brian Walshe case.
Yes.
And the court did not allowed a little bit of it, like the GPS on the Volkswagen, but they denied most of it. And Lainey, you and I did an episode a long time ago about those searches that he made about, you know, is what does formaldehyde do, and how do you prevent a body from smelling, you know, all that.
Yeah.
All those. So the court denied that part of that motion. That went up to a single justice of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court. And the single justice just said, no, the court was right. So now the defense attorneys for Brian Walshe have the option of taking it to the full SJC court. But that would take time, and the Walshe trial is now at present scheduled for October 20th, which is only a month away, really, a month and a few days. And there are other issues, this whole thing about what of the federal materials will be allowed in court. And there was a hearing on that the day before we're doing this episode. And the Commonwealth's attorneys, having reviewed all of that, said we can't say that there's not material we need to provide. So double negative, but that's what they said. We can't say there's not material we need. So all these issues are kind of swirling over the Brian Walshe case. But that's enough for this episode, don't you think?
Yeah, did you want to get to the comments?
Sure.
All right, so I will start us off. And what name? Oh my goodness, Christy
Why don't we
Reynolds.
alternate? You read the first one, I'll read the second one, and Yolie can read the third one. Why don't we do it that way? All right.
So Christy says, an interesting thing I learned about Charlie Kirk, and I frankly barely knew anything about him before this, with all the social media posting snippets of Charlie during some of his debating college students. As they were throwing some ugly vitriol his way, he remained very calm, but definitely had a way with English language, and his knowledge proves not everyone needs a college degree to speak before a crowd of people or to one. And I don't think really remaining calm is necessarily an indication of a person's quality. You know, you can be calm in an argument. It doesn't make you right, is the way that I feel about that.
Yeah.
That episode that we had done on that was before. Now they're saying that there may well have been other people involved in that shooting. So who knows how that will be unveiled. Okay, so this is on the Shawn Mickey Stines case, the case where the sheriff shot the judge right on camera. Stines had a mental break. He was trying to call dead relatives earlier in the day. Everyone around him knew that he was having some kind of mental crisis, and no one bothered to take his gun.
Boy, if that's true.
Well, but yeah, I guess. But try taking a gun away from a sheriff who has a gun and weighs what the guy must weigh 300 pounds.
That's true too. Yeah. Okay, this is from Yolie Hedberg. Okay, sorry if I butchered that. This is crazy. The wife and daughter spoke out. The judge never did any of that crazy stuff. A man gets unalived. There is video. And this clearly shows there is no possibility to run a self-defense. Some rumors fly, and all of a sudden the victim is the worst person on the planet.
Well, that's a viewpoint, and I respect that viewpoint. But there are those who say, he was under the influence of an extreme emotional disturbance. That's the language in Kentucky. They don't define the insanity defense the same way most jurisdictions do. So, we went back and forth on the mental health report, and I don't know.
There was someone who pled guilty, a sheriff who pled guilty regarding these allegations about wrongdoings and the judge being involved. He pled guilty. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. There is a defense. There is a valid defense. Whether the valid defense is going to be bought by a jury is a totally different question.
Jim Morgan, if Proctor gets his job back, Massachusetts may as well close the shop. We don't want anything to do with Mass as it stands right now. Who would? And yeah, the Proctor getting his job back is actual nightmare fuel. It's like we have evidence that this guy should not be trusted in law enforcement, but who knows what's going to happen with that.
Well, there are 3 days of hearings scheduled in late October, I believe the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, and we'll find out. I can't imagine him actually returning to work. I just, maybe they'll put him to duty cutting the grass outside the Framingham headquarters. I don't know. Okay, so Phoebe Mick says Cosgrove is now trying to take Karen to another grand jury for witness intimidation. It's absurd. That law needs to be rewritten in the worst way. Well, grand juries have been around since time immemorial. Yolie, so don't you think that's a long shot, doing away with the grand jury proceeding thing?
I think it's a long shot right now, but maybe eventually it might, but because of the misuse of the grand jury. But for now, I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
No.
Okay, so this is Kim B14 show. Stay with this case, please. This is a Brian Koberger case. Okay.
Yeah. Because, we've gotten mixed results. There are people that say, he pled guilty, leave it alone, move on. What's the matter? You a moron?
No, but, yeah, go ahead.
But, we did a poll several weeks ago and asked people, and I would say 95%, and I didn't count them. Maybe we should do a poll. Lainey, I don't know how to do polls. Maybe we should do a poll, and but we did do an unofficial poll and say, should we move on, or should we stay with the case? And the great majority, I would say 90%, said stay on the case, because we're not saying the guy's innocent. We're not saying that. We're just saying there's a million questions with the way the investigation was done and the irregularities in the Moscow police reports, the Idaho State police reports, and the photos and video. They make no sense.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you go. No, you go, Yolie.
There's also irregularities with the court proceedings themselves. There's a lot of sealed hearings, and I just have questions about that and how much of it should be sealed. And if they're going to release sealed information and call it redacted when it's actually partially sealed, that's kind of like not. I do have some issues with the court proceedings, how the court proceedings were going on and what happened. So those are my thoughts. In addition to what you said.
I was just going to say that I'm surprised that they didn't end up doing some type of deal where he could say who else was doing it with him, but that this is being almost left off as it was definitely one person, when, I don't know, we've talked about it before, it being one person seems unlikely.
Well, the court itself is bringing a lot of this on its own. I mean, going back to Judge who, has retired, just dragging his feet on a lot of decisions. Then it goes to Judge Hippler down in Boise. The court is bringing a lot of this stuff on its own by dragging out this process of unsealing the documents. I mean, in a laborious and meticulous and dragged out, long drawn out process, they're going backwards through all the sealed documents. The last, 2.5 years of sealed, almost 3 years is it now, sealed documents? And they're going back laboriously, one by one, with this process where the judge will say, all right, now we're going to have this batch of documents. Defense, you have so many days to tell us what you want. Prosecution, you have so many days. It's just like, it's just like turtles crossing the street, taking their time. It's just like, there's a turtle crossing behind my house. One of my neighbors actually put up a sign. And if you're watching, thank you. They put up a sign behind my house, turtle crossing. And I think the turtles could crawl from where I live down into Boston and then out to Dedham by the time this court gets done reviewing all the documents. And so they're asking for it. They're asking for people to question the whole thing.
All right, Diane Gallagher. Thank you for covering it. It was a bizarre case with so many layers of justice system and the DSM-IV.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, this goes back to Mickey Stines and Judge Mullins.
Yeah, the mental health. Yeah.
I love this one. Loudmouse N1H says, I cannot think of a more aptly named county. Geesh. And there's the courthouse, the Letcher County Courthouse.
Okay, so I have a big one. Pineapple Head 6626. Also, if this is a party house, and I believe this is referring to Koberger. Also, if this is a party house and she thought Xana was unconscious, what was the whole traumatized act all about? Wasn't this a regular thing for an unconscious person? After partying, she didn't know at that time of the interview that her roommates were unalive because she had to ask Ellie if they were indeed unalive. And how did she get to the conclusion that Xana was not waking up without checking? And if so, she would definitely have seen the chaos and bloodbath.
Good point.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about, that. And after seeing the body cam footage, I just have a lot of questions.
Lainey, do you remember early when we first started looking at the Koberger case, we would do episodes 5 red flags and 10 red flags. Maybe we should do an episode, top 20 or 25 questions.
Yeah. Because after all, we can question things. Look, we're not trying to get Brian Koberger out of jail. We're not trying to say he's being, I don't know. There's just
I forgot.
Oh, I can read this one. Kim 14 show. What a dingbat. Can I still go home for Thanksgiving? Guilty conscience. I don't know, but sure sounds like it. This one, I'm not quite sure what they're referring to.
Well, when Bethany was interviewed, and the video was only released a couple of weeks ago, but when she was interviewed on November 13th of 2022, one of the very first things she said is, can I still go home for Thanksgiving? So, I don't know. In my mind, that was consciousness of guilt, that she knew she'd done something wrong. I'm not saying that she had anything at all to do with the unalivings. God, I hate that word. I'm not saying she had anything to do with what happened, but, waiting 8 hours, a toothache, that doesn't cut it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're stuck at 80. We're stuck at 80 countries. People from 80 different countries have come into our comment section and, given us comments and questions and all that good stuff. So we're stuck at 80 countries. I don't know if we should give it up or, continue to, I don't know.
If your country is not here, comment it down below.
Yeah, you can freeze frame. They're in alphabetical order, and look at Grammy. I want to get rid of the slide, but I'm afraid of cutting out Yolie.
You can cut me out.
Bye, Yolie. No, I'm just kidding. Where's the thing? I don't see the thing.
The next slide.
No, we're done with the slides.
Oh.
So there's Grammy 65 says, time to leave Karen alone. DA and all involved are upset because they lost. Yeah, exactly.
God.
Exactly.
I guess they have no shame. They don't feel embarrassed that they lost.
Well,
I would be embarrassed if I.
Well, you're a trial attorney, so I won't speak to you. I won't speak for you. I'm a trial attorney, and, I think every trial attorney who's tried cases can't say that they won every case. We're not all, what's his name, Perry Mason, and even he lost a case. So yeah, you win some, you lose some. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. I'm being honest. Thank God I've won more than I lost. I wouldn't be sitting here if I hadn't won more than I lost. But so they lost a case. So what? Hank Brennan lost a case. So what? You know, he told me through DM that after the case was over, he'd talk to me. But he's, you know, the phone hasn't rung, and I know it was him. So, you know.
He was telling you he would talk about it after because he was a little over ambitious. He thought it was going to go more in his favor.
Well, yeah, they spent $1.5 million to prosecute, and they lost. I mean, what? You know, $1.5 million to prosecute somebody and only get an OUI. And I'm not saying OUI is a good thing, but I mean, to be going for a first degree, you know, I mean second degree, I'm sorry, going for second degree and manslaughter, and, you know, and the other charges, leaving the scene of a drunk driving accident. You know, they had 3 major charges and they lost on all of them. So I don't know.
Yeah, and it's not like they're going to get their money back by trying to prosecute Karen Reed for witness intimidation. I mean, they're just going to spend more money.
We actually had some comments from the people that said, yeah, the taxpayers of Massachusetts should get their money back. But how do you get? I forget the ungodly amount that went to Aperture. It was like, all I know is it was more than Hank Brennan's $566,000. They got a huge amount, and we did an episode on that. I just forget what it was. You know, I'm just looking back to see if there's anything else good in the comments. I'm just looking to see. Kelly Diva, Hossmany cops rehomed. Is there anything else good in these? Lainey, have you been reading these?
I mean, thank you everybody who has been commenting. If you've been watching this video this far, what kind of emoji should we be having people leave today? Do you have any ideas, Yolie?
I would say phones, but
phone emojis. I think there's a cell phone emoji. That's a good one. Whether it's a rotary phone emoji or a cell phone emoji, comment your phone emojis down below. And if you're not subscribed to our channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well.
Yeah. Do you guys have any closing thoughts?
no, this week is turning out to be less traumatizing than last week. So
Yeah, my only closing thought is, oh my goodness, I mean, we're all very lucky to not be Karen Reed because it sounds like they're going to be going after her for the next decade and a half. It seems like she's never going to be able to get out of this.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible that they're doing this again. I always forget. I always say we should do this earlier in the episode because we're losing our audience. But please, if you've gotten anything out of this, if you've been informed, if you've been educated, if you've been entertained, please subscribe. We just hit 30,000. We just hit 30,000 subscribers over the weekend. This past weekend, we hit 30,000. So if you are so inclined, please share with your friends. But moreover, in my mind, I don't know, Lainey, what's better, but I like to see the subscription numbers go up, and we're at 30 now. So I would ask people to please give us a subscribe and answer our questions. Again, I like to lighten this up a little bit, and these are serious things we're talking about. But do you watch the weather? Is it worth it for the TV stations to spend the gazillions of dollars that they do on weather people? You know, they have these huge staffs. They have these, these weather vehicles that are all painted up, and they've got the dishes and the antennas on the top. It looks like a Christmas tree. Is it worth spending all that money for the weather people, or do 99.9% of the people just go on their phone and get the weather that way? Is it pointless? I think people watch the news for the news and the sports. They want to see the sports, especially playoff games and college games.
But I think about the old people, the elderly who are in nursing homes, and that's like the only place they can get the weather is through the TV.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And people in elderly people, and also people that are trapped in airports. If you're
That's
trapped
true.
in an airport and you're waiting for your flight and it's been delayed for God knows how long, and God forbid they have to watch CNN.
Well, at the airport you can still use your phone, but
Yeah, But I mean, you don't know if the battery is going to run out, and you don't know if you can sit next to a charger, and you don't know. So if you're at an airport, you're kind of hostage to CNN. All right. So, guys, thank you. Audience, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Let us know your thoughts about our big major question of the day. Don't forget to subscribe, and that's it.
And that's that.
Whether you are in the grocery store, the gas station, or anywhere else, please remember to be kind to people. You don't know what they're going through. And the same goes for our comments section. We want you to comment, but be nice, be kind, be positive if you can. And thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a good one.